uh, ano, I, uh, 这个没听过的是，对，
within the sector by force. The same way as sustainability, everybody here about sustainability of a great decade ago. But during COVID, every company is talking about sustainability. It's the same as digital. Now everybody has been forced through hybrid working. Who knew that you could work from home and still deliver for an on-time? So looking at this transformation that has been fast-tracked because of COVID, every company now we're using Zoom. We have Teams, we have Google Meet.
Okay, guys, looks like we're safe. We can talk.
Still increase our effectiveness, still meet our customers, our partners, and every other person. So technology has actually changed the way we work. We used to have 365 Office that you can access your documents from anywhere. But right now, it's no longer an issue. It's a must. It happens every other day. Before, it was a must for you to be in the office 8 to 5, even though you had access to technology like 365 Office. But right now, it has been made clear that it's actually possible to be productive wherever you are and still meet your targets, meet your customers, communicate your message everywhere. And for us as Kenya, for example, for the Kenya Tourism Board, if you look throughout COVID, technology proved so to become very important because every day we're able to tell everyone, today in the destination, there's a safari going on. Today in the destination, someone is enjoying a hike on Mount Kenya. Today in the destination, someone is enjoying turtle watching at the Kenya coast. When someone is stuck in their countries, for example, in Europe and America, they could not travel anywhere during that time. So the use of technology has become even more important. It's become a part of business. We are saying everything is now, the strategy is now digital. It's no longer having a strategy on the side that is called digital strategy. Everything has changed. Thank you very much.
Yes, you've really pulled that all together in a very tight ball, pulling that all together. I mean, just from the brief conversation we've had, it must be a very exciting time now for Kenyan tourism because it's you've got all the things in place. You've got the destination wonderfulness, and then you've got the technology to be able to do this. And of course, we know that people in East Africa have been very innovative in using technology in all sorts of ways. Yeah. I think we're going to see some more developments coming out in the future that nobody's thought of, and it's going to come out of East Africa, and it's going to come out of Kenya, and it's going to come out of Nairobi, and it's going to come from people like we've got in the room today. Lovely, nicely put over there. Good. Let's move on. Who's next? Was it you, Nancy, or was it Elizabeth? I forget which now.
It's me.
It's you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll say one of the ways in which technology has changed this industry, especially I'll speak in terms of the hotel, is enhanced guest experience. Remember, before you will get into a hotel and then check-in will be manual, but currently you can do online check-in and just pick your key from the reception end. So the guest experience in terms of check-in is really check-in and check-out has really been enhanced in terms of that. And also payments. Previously, you get payments are done physically. Now you just tap your card and go. You don't need to key in passwords. You don't need to key in any other information. Another thing is streamlined operations. I'll say in terms of our previous standard operating procedures is that we needed to do everything manual. But when you look at the industry currently, especially the hotel, is that we have even things like customer relationship management. We can coordinate with our customers and see this customer wanted this, so how can we improve our services? So we find that in terms of streamlining of operations, we get that getting feedback from that guest enhances the guest experience when they come in, and that leads to, at the end of the day, we get repeat clients. The other thing is advanced revenue management. You find that previously we used to think, today we need to put our rate at this amount of money, but then right now you find revenues are directed using the technology. So we say today the technology will help you look at the market rate. What is the demand in the market? And that demand then influences how much you're going to put in and key in your, let's say, Booking.com or even TripAdvisor or Expedia. So that helps you get the demand in the market will help you to either raise your amount that you want to charge for your room or reduce it because probably the demand is not high. Another one is data-driven decision making. Fiona has talked about it, and I think that is how you're going to. That's how technology is going to take us in the near future. Because currently, let's say, for example, if I want to introduce a certain product, I look at my guest feedback, or I look at what did the guests love last time, what did they complain about, what did they like. So even our strategies are going to be our strategies and our decision making is going to be more data driven and not just us thinking as heads of the organization. It is going to be informed by what the clients are needing. And one thing that technology is teaching us is, especially like, let's say for the hospitality industry, is that customers are changing their tastes. And as customers change their tastes, then we also need to change our taste and preferences in terms of offers that we give our clients. Because, for example, I remember before we introduced some of the digital platforms or technological platforms in the hospitality industry, clients who are coming from different countries would ask for those things. And as Fiona has said, COVID has made us make things speed up in terms of technology, because you find currently we are looking at what's happening outside and how can we enhance that. So consumers' tastes are changing, and that is changing with technology. And that technology, we need to be at par and at track to ensure that we are making sure that clients are having the best experience. The other one is it's a negative effect, but we've experienced it in one way or another if you are travelers. Those who are good at traveling, one is the personalization of services. When, let's say, for example, like the first point I've talked about of when you're getting to check-in, you check in and you've already checked in on your way to your hotel, but then you just can't pick the key and probably you can even take yourself to your room. You see, that is the personalization of the whole hospitality experience. So that is one negative effect that technology is going to probably get us to. Now, when you're getting to see technology, the other day I was in a sales meeting and my team was telling me that the tour operators are having trouble. Why? Because if someone is looking for a hotel, they just go online, plan their whole trip, and then just reach Nairobi, and they're only looking for a travel van to take them for a safari. So the only thing, like right now, tour operators are only getting their safari vans to work with. So currently the guests or the customers are looking to get their all information online, plan their destinations, and just come and look for tours and travel to give them a tour van to take them around. And you see that is also going to affect, at the end of the day, the tour operators' businesses. So those are some of the things that technology is making us. Those are some of the things that technology is affecting us positively and negatively. Thank you.
Yeah, what I loved about what you're saying, then we're really getting a very broad perspective, we're going in very detailed in some of these things here, which I found fascinating in what you're saying, is that user experience. Because the traditional way you come to an hotel, you go up to the front desk, there's a whole lot of admin clerical stuff over there. And what technology is doing is changing all of that. It's putting the power with the customer, and it's changing the role of the front office person, isn't it? Into terms of more a guide, a concierge, a helper, a support person, rather than just an administrator is what, fill in, have your credit card details, here's the key to your room, off you go. And that opens up a whole lot of career and other opportunities out there that I really hope we're going to explore in much more detail as we go down the road there. I see Bhupesh has got his hand up over there, and he's going to tell us what's on his mind. And then we'll get to Elizabeth, who is sitting very patiently there with those lovely pictures behind her. And we're going to hear from her. Bhupesh, go ahead, and then we'll go to Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, James. So, our guests talked about the change. Fiona talked about how COVID fast-tracked digitalization. And clearly, things have changed really fast in the last couple of years, especially for the hotel industry. But this change, has brought in some positive impacts, which is like the employee-guest ratios, which is one of the leading parameters for hospitality. But at the same point in time, when the employee-guest ratio changes and a lot of technology advancements leading to change in the roles and responsibilities also. So just the way QR codes, it has actually changed how a waiting staff would operate. The context-less payments, it really has changed by the servers work, right? Also, in terms of the augmented reality, it really changes, how it's being sold out to the public, right? So, my question, and rather, I would really like to know a little more in terms of from the HR standpoint, and also citing Gartner here, they mentioned that some of the biggest challenges, and I think this is really relating now. Some of the biggest challenges for the hospitality is going to be the leadership and the managerial effectiveness, along with the change management. And I think very nicely, some of the panelists have already cited that up. So I would be really looking forward to hear in terms of, how they are managing, such technological advancements. Bernard also talked about, AI is not going to eat up their job. It's just the, people who are more conversed with AI or maybe technology, they're just going to replace those people. So how is it impacting, the human resource factor, whether they are going to be working in terms of training the leaders, managers, they're going to rethink the entire reward recognition or the reward system for their people. I would be very keen to hear on the subject. Thank you.
Very nicely put there, Bhupesh, very nicely. And I can see that Elizabeth wants to get in on this one. You've just given a whole lot of extra stuff to talk about inside this area. So Elizabeth, take it away. Tell us the story.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate what the other speakers have had to say. And I like the questions that Bhupesh has brought up. I think I like the challenge when you challenge the HR on what are we doing differently because of the future challenges that we are going to face because of the technology. So you have already mentioned that we have to look at our training. I will want to talk on what actually we are doing, and being one of the industry that we never closed during the corona. we were still on, and we were one of the hotels that we didn't even let our staff go home because of Corona. So I think HR needs, with the technology, we need to be looking at things in a different way, and that is what I've put myself to be looking at things in a different way. The challenges have come, the Corona is there, but we still have one thing that I always like talking about. There is something called emotional contract and the actual contract that we have with the employees. So if the emotional contract is affected, the actual contract that we have in employee will just be there. Even with the technology, we need to understand the hospitality is about the touch that you have with the clients. So how my colleague in hospitality from Weston has talked about improving the guest experience with the technology. For sure, improving guest experience with the technology has brought up, has come with a lot of technology. Nowadays, as she has said, the guests do not have to pick their, do not have to come and check in the desk. But what can we do to improve that? The guest, that means they will not interact with the receptionist, the guest services, but how can they interact with them? Even the technology being there. So what we have done from our side, I said I will speak from what we are doing because it's good to speak from the experience. Our guests actually do not check in at the guest desk, and they also do not have to pick the keys because we have a mobile key check-in. So once the guest has booked, he sent a ring that he can open the door of his room without even checking in the reception. But how does that guest understand that we have staff who can give him the best experience, who understand our industry, who understand the tourism and what we have to offer in Kenya? So this is what we do. We have we invented a department called Shiften. Each and every guest that comes in, we give them a choice. We have a Shiften. Each and every person is given a guest to interact with, like 5 guests or 6 guests. So the guest knows if I want anything that is personalized, this is the person that I will talk to. And the person is available to take the guest everywhere. These are people that are trained to understand what we have in Kenya as a tourism destination, what do we have to offer in our hotel, what do we have to offer in the town that we are and the nearby if guest is interested in. So the technology, I don't think it is affecting the way we interact with our guests. So we need to understand that despite the fact the technology is coming in, we still need to have sustainability with the staff that we have. And these are people that want to go out there and know so many things, not only one thing. They don't want to be guest service. They just don't want to be issuing keys or doing something, but they want to know what else can I offer to the guest? How can I make the guest experience different? But this comes with what I have said, that we are okay. Despite the fact you come and check in without even coming to the reception, you are designated an employee who you can interact with. This comes with the training, as Bhupesh has said. So we make sure that all our staff from the recruitment, you understand the aspect of the hospitality, not only the hotel, but all what we are offering as a destination. The other thing is that technology has also helped us to connect with potential customers. This is because it is open now. We know we can be able to go online and look at what our customers are looking for. What do we have to offer? So we can align ourselves with the target market, with their preference, with what we are able to offer. So that has also helped us. And as Fiona has said, the data management, it has helped us as a hotel to track the revenue management. Another interesting thing that I wanted to say is that also the technology has helped us to look at things in a different way. How can we motivate our staff in this technological era? So what we are doing at the moment, we look at the revenue. How can we motivate you? How much revenue can you be able to bring? So each and every employee has become a sales person. So it's not only that I sit in HR. I know if I bring this business, it will increase our revenues, and that means we can increase our pay. So we have something that we call revenue-based salary. So we don't pay you what you have signed for, but we pay you depending on the revenue that we have received and which is based on the budget. I think I can say so much. I think I should leave it to the rest to talk. Thank you so much.
Don't hold back and don't apologize. No, absolutely. I just love I just like the way the conversation is going. Because Bhupesh opened the door a little while ago in terms of how we respond as organizations to this, our human resources. And you went through that door straight into it there. Elizabeth, well done for that. Just before I go on with this, I see there's somebody called Mo who's joined us. I'm not sure, Mo, are you a panelist? Or I haven't been able to link you back to our panelists over here. But while we look at that over there, there's a very fascinating question that's come up on the Q&A, and a great big question over there. So let's see what we can make of this over, because I think it touches on a lot of the things we've spoken about, and I don't think we're going to do justice to it, but we can make a big dent in this. So Doris Mwangi has said the following. Doris has said, seeing as technology is key in modern times in regards to HR and the service industry, how are we using HR software to, one, improve the employee experience, move from role-based hiring to a competency-based approach? Well, I think we've had some nibble at that already, yes. Improve the customer experience through machine learning solutions. Well, that's already in the room. Then in conclusion, Kenya has a problem with unemployment. The HR technologies need to improve the customer experience along with maintaining a one-on-one approach. And I think that has come out, I think, between Nancy and Elizabeth. We've seen how you can do that over there, and I think we're going to go on for that. But if we haven't exploited that by any means, an integrated approach is key to managing the HR function. This is essentially a combination of the traditional approach, the soft approach, and a digital approach for internal as well as external customers. Well, that's something that's certainly sitting the cat amongst the pigeon there. Doris, you put a good thing over there. And that aligns with where I want to take the conversation now, because we put out all the issues on the table over here, and there's a diversity of things over here. But now, how do HR departments respond to this in terms of training, recruitment, putting people in place, changing the psychological contract of employment, the contract of employment, et cetera, et cetera. We have all the things spoken in the room, learning, artificial intelligence, customer experience, et cetera. How do we respond to this? How do HR departments set themselves up for dealing with this, providing people who can do these things? That's a big mouthful over there, isn't it? Let's see where the hands go up now, where we are. And if you can link in with what Elizabeth was there and she went away again.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Elizabeth, and then we'll the rest of the team. Yes. How would you like to respond? How should HR respond to this? And you started talking down that route. Is there anything you want to add to that? And then we'll open it up to the rest of the panelists.
I think I will touch, you have given me direction on what to touch on. I think I will start with the recruitment and change the contracts that we have and the business that we want to sustain. So from where I am with the current technology, the recruitment starts through the technology. The way we advertised, we used to advertise through the newspaper and all that. We no longer do that. It is very easy how we recruit. It has made it very easy for us to be able to recruit, because when you advertise, you do it through the online and the platform. You can be able to filter on what you are looking for and the requirements and all that. That has made it very, very easy. Then that is not only the part of recruitment, because you also want to recruit people who have a diverse mind, who are not only looking at, when somebody comes to you, he's not only looking at being a receptionist, being a cook, being something, being that person that he has gone to school to do. As my panelist has also talked about COVID changing things, we have realized that even as in COVID, as a chef, you still need to serve. As a chef, you are going out there. So it's not the time that you used to only recruit a chef who knows how to cook, but he doesn't have the customer relationship. So the chefs we are recruiting, the people that we are recruiting, they should have everything so that it can fit in the technology and the changes that we have experienced with COVID. So if you are recruiting somebody who is going to be behind the counter, he should understand sometimes he has to face the customer. How is he going to face the customer if in recruitment he didn't expect that? In recruitment, onboarding, you didn't train them on how to relate with the customer. So it is that is what as HR we need to look at, and we are changing and we are looking at it in a different way. When it comes to changing contracts, I will just talk about contracts, then I will read the rest to pick it up from there. So when I have talked about changing our contracts are not fixed. Like you have been employed to earn a salary of this amount of money, but how can I motivate you? How can I keep you working here if all the organization in Kenya, they are paying the same salary? What makes me different for you to be able to feel that you want to stay in this company? So that is why we came up from our end. We came up with a way that we can amend our contracts. We are looking at it in a different way. So it's not only what you have you are working for, but what else can you bring in so that it can boost your contract in earning. Apart from the company earning the revenue, what are you getting out of there? So that has changed a lot, and it has motivated most of our employees. And it is also bringing, there is a lot of retention because of that, because every time the business, and actually we have seen the peak in business. From January to this month, we are talking about August, our employees have been able to earn a salary like 82% of what they should have earned, which makes them feel if I stay until December, I might earn more than 100% of what I would have expected. So I think we need not to have a fixed mind as HR, but we need to look at things outside the box. What can we do to make things better?
Right, yes. And you've that we solidly have this some real, because this is not a traditional HR role you're talking about. And I can see a whole lot of hands waving at me over there, and we're going to get to them at the moment. But I'd like to bring in Bernard at this moment. Bernard has been sitting very quietly over there, pondering all of this, and I know he wants to put in something, and then we'll go through Fiona, Nancy, and Wandera after that over there. So Bernard, go ahead.
Thank you very much, James, and thank you all the panelists that have shared. I want to start from the first place, how the HR can be able to come by understanding the business. Not only the big business, but the industry, where the industry heading. The automation space is really changing on a day-to-day basis. If you look at how much we have grown in terms of technology from when COVID started to date, there's been a vast change in different processes because of the effects of COVID-19. So the first thing is for us to understand where the industry is going, and as an organization or the tourism sector, are we prepared for what is coming? We have a lot of changes. We are talking about virtual tourism. We're talking about things like that are happening right now. James doesn't have to be in Kenya to actually see what is happening within our parks, but we can actually provide James a virtual walk into our park. So that is the space that we are heading to. We're talking about a metaverse that is coming in, where I can sit here and have a conversation with James without James having to be in the room, but all of us are in the same space. So that is how the whole industry is changing and the whole space is changing. So the question is, have we prepared our staff, or have we prepared our teams in readiness for what is coming? And as HR, we hold a very sensitive role. We have an aspect of where we are focusing on the business, and then we have aspect of people on this side. So we are looking at how do I grow the business, but at the same time, how does it not affect the staff? So you have people here who need reskilling. Does the organization have a budget for reskilling? You have the organization here that is pushing for profit. how do I also able to balance both? So you have those things that you're always balancing on a day-to-day. But how do you do that as HR people? Number one is to look at the future, look at what are the kind of skills you require 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Do you have people within the organization with those skills? And how am I on a day-to-day investing? If they are not, I'm not able to invest, how am I preparing myself to bring on board the kind of skill and competence that you're looking for? And someone has rightfully put it out when they're asking the question whether we are recruiting, for competence, or we are recruiting just for the sake of filling in position. But in what we are looking for in future is, are we recruiting the competence that the organization is needing for the future? And that is where we are. So number one is to motivate our teams to upskill themselves, and where possible, set a budget to upskill, set a budget to reskill, so that you are at the same time taking care of the human aspect of people, but also taking care of the business aspect of the organization. So that is what I can put it for now. Thank you.
Good. No, that's well put over there, and I think it sets a particular context. I see if there are participants out there in the audience who have questions to raise, please go to the Q&A box, raise your question over there. We'll throw this open to the panelists over here. But we continuing over here because I can see that that Fiona is desperate to add to the conversation over here, and then after Fiona we'll go to Nancy and go to Wandera over there, because you're expanding on the role of the HR department, but you're probably going to take us in a different direction. So go ahead, Fiona, tell it to us.
Thank you, James. Actually, just speaking from where Bernard has left, understanding and acknowledging the fact that where is the industry going? If you look right now around the world, we have a human resource crisis around the world, because majority of the staff actually let go during COVID. But right now, going through 3 years, people have been able to review and reflect, what do I really want? Where do I want to go? People pursuing their dreams. And right now, if you look even the number of registrations of students in colleges for tourism courses is actually lower. So it's a crisis that we need to consider as HR and managers and industry professionals on how to address it. But now going back to the fact that if you look at right now, even across Africa, over 80% are young people. We have an amazing dividend in terms of young people that are actually within Africa that are ready to work. But then if you look at the customers on the other end who are coming to the airlines, the tour operators, to the hotels, also young people, over 2/3 actually the millennials and Gen Zs. These are generations that are digital savvy. But then when it comes to our training for the hospitality industry, for example, it's focused on the old nature of how we actually train our colleagues, training our human capital to join the industry. So there's a gap there that we need to address. It goes back to when you're talking about how we recruit for the industry, it's about even reviewing the job descriptions. That is a crisis we're also facing right now, even as a destination marketing organization, getting people with the right skills, with the digital skills that we need to transform our marketing. So if JDs, the job descriptions remain generic, that you just need a bachelor degree, a master's degree, or a diploma, for example, and that is all, it becomes a challenge on how they translate the different roles that are emerging even in the workforce. So it's an area of keen interest in terms of how do we even translate our job descriptions to actually deliver on the skills that we need. But on the other side, for the employees, it's about defining the skills they bring to the table. Besides your qualification, these are the skills that I'm offering to the employer for me to be considered. So there are two aspects of the employer actually becoming more specific, but also the employees also getting very clear. These are the skills I'm bringing to the table. And also acknowledging that right now, we are not only single-faceted. I'm not just a marketer. I'm not just a mother. We bring all this to the workplace. And as a destination marketing specialist, I'm also a coach. I'm also a mentor. I'm also a personal growth ambassador. So how does all this come in to support the business to deliver on what it's supposed to deliver? So there's the aspect of looking at our JDs, that we recruit people and ensuring that it delivers on the skills that are required. So the other side is also upskilling for the employees. This is an area that you realize HR in most organizations get very little budget in some cases. So upskilling becomes an issue. But also there's the aspect of personal growth development, professional growth development on the side of the employee that we need to consider. How do I grow myself? When you talk about sustainability at organization level, it's very clear. But at individual level, to remain competitive as an employee is to continuously invest in myself as an employee, to continuously grow, to continuously gain the skills that I need. So there's the aspect of looking at recruitment, looking at promotion, sustaining in terms of upskilling continuously so that the staff are always competent and ready to deliver on the business. Then about using the data, we collect a lot of data from staff during the appraisal systems and all the systems that you have within the organization. But how do you use that data to actually incentivize the employees besides the money? Then the other part is about rethinking succession. The current generation are not looking like our older generations, remaining in the organization for 30 years, for 20 years, 30, 40 years until they retire. So how do we tweak the succession planning for the organization to ensure that even for the people, for the younger people who are here to gain a skill and to move, to gain a skill and to contribute and move to a different place, because their needs are different. They're looking for more mentorship, more coaching, more opportunities to grow. So how do we relook at succession in that direction so that the younger people joining the workforce are actually encouraged, empowered, and actually ready to succeed, and they don't have to wait to have 40 years experience to actually move somewhere. Then the last part is actually, the last part that I wanted to talk about is about being a HR business partner in the organization. So that for me, I'm in a destination marketing organization. The technical department is marketing. So the HR is to support marketing in terms of everything that we do. So in terms of looking at the job descriptions, looking at the job, right now, for example, we are looking for digital marketing managers. But if you go with the generic description of a marketing manager, does not work. They require a different skill. They require a different kind of qualification. They require a different kind of expectation. So it has to change. It's not the same across board. So those are the challenges you're facing, even from the social marketing organization perspective. Also, it cuts across the entire industry. So that if we say the future is the younger generation, they're over 18%, then the entire HR processes must align to that. Otherwise, we face a challenge of succession. Everybody is over 40. Then what happens? All of them will go home at the same time. Then what happens? So in terms of sustainability of the organization is to consider the young people coming in, because at the end of the day, we're also serving a younger customer clientele who are also coming through our various organizations. Thank you very much.
Yes, you've opened up a very fluid understanding of the nature of work and how people participate and get involved in the workplace. And it takes a different way of looking at jobs and tasks. Because often in the past, we looked at people, you have a certain task to do, and there's a list of 20 things you have to do. We're not talking about that task, they're very fluid. And this resonates with a person who was very influential in the South African hospitality industry. And his attitude to recruitment was, I select for attitude, but I train for skills. It doesn't matter if you don't know anything about the hospitality industry or tourism or anything like that. If you've got the right attitude, I can train you how to run front of house, or run food and beverage, or how to run marketing and things like that. If you haven't got the right attitude, you don't fit in. And I think what you've raised there, Fiona, is a very powerful thing about young people understanding what the hospitality industry can offer you, because it has multiple learning paths. It's not, like you become an accountant, you become a senior accountant, you become a financial manager. There are so many different nuances and so many things that you can build a unique job for yourself in the process. And I'm not going to explore that in any sense at all, because I'm going to leave it to Nancy to take it further for us. Nancy, go ahead.
Thank you so much, James. So I know Fiona has taken us through majority of the things I was going to talk about, but I would say that HR is moving from the traditional HR to a strategy HR. So currently we are not personnel managers, we are strategic thinkers. So we need to, like the way Fiona has said, we need to be business partners. So as HR being a strategic thinker, then we also need to align to the strategy. We also need to align to the technology advancements that are coming in each and every day, especially in this industry, because every day things change in terms of technology. So then being a business partner, we have to stay informed about what's happening in the industry. Let's say, for example, today something changes in technology. Are we going to adapt that? And how is that going to then affect the employees at the end of the day? So when you're staying informed every other time, you need to be, as HR, what we're looking at is you're the first person to look at that technology that is upcoming and how is that going to affect the employees at the end of the day. And when it affects the employees, how is it going to affect the employees? So you do an audit of how is that technology going to affect the employees and how can we do training? So you invest in training. When you're investing in training, you upskill and reskill the employees that you have. And this upskilling and reskilling at the end of the day will help even ease the process of even getting that technology on board. The other thing is
interrupt you there, Nancy. I'm going to interrupt you there. What sort of thing doing for the upskilling over there? That sounds fascinating. What are you doing in Western hotels? What are the activities you're doing for that upskilling over there? Because that seems to be very, very pertinent to what we're talking about here.
So in terms of upskilling and reskilling, we are taking, one of the things that you're doing is we are doing study buddies. Now, in terms of study buddies is we take people for training. And when you're taking people for training, then they come back and retrain the people within the department. So then we are having more of trainers within the department who are not just heads of department, but within the department, they're going out for training. When they come back to the department, then they retrain the different employees. So we look at different aspects of what is happening in the industry and how can we help improve that. So with those
study buddies, by the way, I know I'm interrupting you, but I like the idea of study buddies because you don't often have the opportunity to take groups of people out and send them on formal training courses. So this you can actually modularize it inside the institution wherever you are for a particular role. I like that. And audience out there, take note of that. You heard it over here. Good. Carry on, Nancy, and then we're going to go to Wandera after you.
So you don't need, you basically don't need to have a classroom because you see there are different departments. I'll take someone for training and that trainer is in a specific department. At the day-to-day operations, like let's say someone, for example, went for a particular training, but they're in a specific department, then at that day, they'll just go through training with that person. It can even take 20 or 15 minutes, but then it is training. And that really helps improve the service levels at the end of the day. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is fostering a culture of learning. Why we're saying that is because I remember there's a time I sat with someone from the army and the person was telling me when they were in employment, their first computer was in a room. So they'll get into a room and the whole room is a computer. Then along the way, he saw the way technology advanced. And he was telling us, as a young person, you need to ensure that you're always open to learn new things. In as much as it does not interest you, but you need to learn the new things. So you need to foster a culture of learning. Remember that culture is strategy for breakfast. So from the strategy, if you don't have a culture of learning within the organization, then that means that you're not going to get the information, you're not going to get the end results that you require at the end of the day. So fostering that culture, encouraging people that you need to go back to school, even if you're getting loans from the organization to go back to school and relearn again, then that is something. You need to get back to school, learn, and come back and also share that information. So as a culture, we need to foster that culture of learning. And also the other thing is monitoring and evaluating the technological advancements that are in, because you find that technology will come in today, tomorrow probably we cannot use it. But then also technology is helping us advance in so many ways, like AI. When you're talking about AI, today AI, if you want to look at something, you just look it up and it gives you all that information. So how is also that affecting the business at the end of the day? So as HR, we need to be strategic thinker, or we are strategic thinkers. And with that, strategy helps groom the business at the end of the day and gives quality service at the end of the day. Thank you. Sorry.
Good. Yes. What's interesting, and in fact, that in the hospitality industry, the distance between the person doing the work and the customer or the client is very short. You know, if someone's a tour guide, you directly with a person, the front of house, food and beverage, housekeeping, and booking your tours, etc., even though you're doing it digitally. Whereas if I go and buy a tin of baked beans in a supermarket, I've got no interaction with the person, the farmer who grew the beans, the person who processed it. There's a very close, short line between the person doing the service and the customer over there. And that points to a very special attitude. And this is where this whole upskilling comes in. And I love what you were saying there, Nancy, about education and going back to school, because that's what we're about as Regenesis. And we think that's an important part of growing through there. Before we go to Wandera, I just wanted to read Ezekiel's comment over here, and we can see how we can respond to Ezekiel as we go in the things over here. Ezekiel's raised a very useful question over between new recruitment and upskilling. So getting new people into the organization or taking your people inside the organization, take them up. Which one is cost effective? And considering you talked about giving young graduates an opportunity to get into the job market, the question goes to Fiona. So Fiona, think about that one while Wandera is talking about this, and then we'll get back to you and then go on to Bhupesh and Elizabeth after that. Wandera, you want to share your
I'm a very passionate person about the community of practice of people and culture, not just in our country, but globally. What you notice significantly is that people within the community of practice need to start having business conversations. You shouldn't be the person that goes into a conversation to take notes and do the administrative tasks that are there, because you are the person that is in charge of the most prized resource of that organization, and it is the people. When you are unable to have business conversations, then conversations on how the utilization of people and the culture of the business miss out from the strategic table. And I always say, when you're going to a strategic table, go with something. I am a person that is very averse to the statement that if you're not invited to the strategic table, bring in a chair. No, you're not supposed to bring in a chair. You're supposed to bring in a contribution, a valuable contribution that would make people want to sit back and understand and appreciate where you're coming from. Because once we start having business conversations, it becomes very clear that people are central to the business. Then you have to recognize that from then you are the lead change agent of everything that is happening within the technological sector that we are speaking about here. And change management needs to be something that is understood very well, practiced well, with competencies that are recognized within the world. I'm making sure that the HR practitioners are skilled with something like Prince2 understanding really helps people to be able to understand how projects are managed and how we move from bringing in a new thing to realizing its effectiveness and to actually understanding how well it can be integrated into the business moving forward. When you have done this and you're at a strategic table, you need to let the business know that the culture of the business is an enabler to the strategy. When the culture of the business is not working, then the strategy will not be realized. And I go into details to say, culture is not a feel-good thing. It's not bring pizza and let's play ping pong. That's not culture. Tell me, what is it? What are you doing? What are you rewarding? What are you punishing? What are your values? What is the key focus of the business? Is it people, the culture, the people, the customer, profit? What are they? How are you making decisions in that business? What are your standard operating procedures? Go to the other side and wonder, how do you treat your people? How do you make decisions? How are your feedback? How do people feel psychologically safe within the business? What are those things that are culturally just authentically yourselves? What are you doing? Put structure around culture. Don't just say, let's do this, let's make people feel good. Put structure. Let HR practitioners go back and learn more about culture, because there's a wealth of experience and educational, formal education, and also networking that can help you to understand and appreciate how culture can actually be a strategic enabler. Like, for instance, if you have decided how you're making your decisions as part of your cultural tools, it becomes very easy to say our decisions are data-driven. And this makes then the strategy implementation become really synonymous with what people are doing within the business. Once you have done this, it is important for you to understand that you're working with people. It is a person you cannot ask Wandi to leave her things at home and come to work. It doesn't work like that. Wandi comes to work and all the sundries that come with her. You have to deal with people. Do not process people. Deal with people. Understand how they get well. Understand very well how that well-being helps them bring in that very unique contribution that they bring to your business, and make sure that they remain engaged to bring that contribution that they put to your business. In the airline industry, what we're noticing right now is cross-skilling is becoming a critical factor to success. When you are able to make sure that a person can move from one traditional responsibility into another one seamlessly, encourage it. Like, for instance, engineers are highly being encouraged to become pilots. And this becomes really simple because they understand the mechanics of an aircraft. Then they become a better pilot because they understand the safety and everything else that works with the aircraft, that then makes them easier to work with moving forward. Customer service agents moving straight into cabin crew. This cross-skilling becomes a critical success factor to how HR can be able to represent and work with these changes in the technology. I also urge every HR practitioner to sit back and redesign their jobs. Let's not just focus on writing job descriptions. I'm normally very averse to having this list and that list and that list. I keep sitting back and wondering, what does the business want to achieve? Because that's the biggest question. We all have to start there. What does your business want to achieve? It is from what the business wants to achieve that you're able to redesign the organization and frame it in a way that will be able to achieve those things that you want to achieve. It is only from that understanding that I believe HR can then prove the contribution of why this job exists and how it has been designed and how it will look like in the next, in the strategy period, and how it can move into the next strategy and morph within that area. I also focus a lot on making sure that performance management and rewards is data driven. Let's not just go into the market and say, okay, this one is paying this much, let's pay this much. The question is, can you afford it? Because very many HR practitioners are very averse to going back into business conversation and wonder, can we afford this which we are saying we can afford? How much is your business yielding? If your business is yielding less than that which you're hiring, then there is something amiss there within your performance and the people that you have brought in. If people are not contributing properly into the strategic pillars of the business, there is something wrong with how you are managing your performance. So the HR practitioners in the room, those ones that are willing to join the profession with time, we really need to have our performance and our rewards very data-driven and very specific to the strategy that the business has, with considerations of what the industry needs to bring. And lastly, to just sum it up, I have to say that every HR practitioner needs, at especially this point where technological advancements are becoming louder and louder in the business, we need to front critical skills in the business. I don't call them soft skills, I call them critical skills. We need to have leaders and individuals in the business who are emotionally intelligent. That is something that is extremely critical to the success of the business, because these are the people that will make sure we remain with that human touch, especially in this industry where the human touch is very important. Skills like the practice of gratitude is very, very important, especially in the intergenerational management that we are having within the different organizations. The Gen Zs, the millennials, gratitude, the practice of gratitude is something that is really big. Let's coach our leaders. Let them understand and listen better. Let them be able to draw out that which is good in that particular performer that will be able to influence the strategy as it's moving forward. That would be my contribution.
Well, there's lots of contribution there, and you've given me a wonderful soundbite to take away. I'm going to use it in my next leadership course I deliver. What you've left with me is, when you go to a meeting, don't come to take notes, come to have a business conversation. I love it. I love it. I think that's a powerful thing I'm going to take away with it. I like the way you brought intersectionality into it, that you're not just the person that pitches up the work, you have other roles in the workplace outside of workplace, as a mother, as a wife, as a partner, as a parent, as a child, etc., etc. And these are we have to recognize and acknowledge that in the process over there. And about the emotional intelligence, that's a key part of what we talk about at Regenesis, is being able to relate to and engage with people rather than just give instructions to people and ask them questions. Why haven't you done things? Nicely put over there. Before we go on to other people who've got their hands up over there, I quickly want to just cycle back through Fiona to deal with Ezekiel's question. Ezekiel put this question about, and if you could deal with this very quickly, Fiona, about the difference between what's the stance with new recruitment and upskilling, if you could put to that, and then we'll go to Bhupesh and Elizabeth, who are patiently waiting for this. So if you can quickly take us through that, Fiona, help us get to Ezekiel to get the right place.
Thank you, James. If you could kindly clarify on what you need between
his question is
recruitment and
that
upskilling.
between the recruitment and upskilling, which one is cost effective? And considering that you talked about giving young graduates an opportunity to get in the job market, and this question goes to Fiona. So there you are. You are famous now. You have got a question going to you. The balance between upskilling people, your existing employees, is about pulling in from outside, etc. And if you could just address that quickly.
I think it's a balance, because it's always cheaper for retaining existing staff instead of recruiting, but there's always a point where you need people for vacant positions. So it's a good balance between the two. In some cases, in some organizations, like for us who are in government, there are positions that must go outside for competitive recruitment. And there are those that you can actually promote from within the organization. But then across board, everybody within the organization must be upskilled. Every time there's anything required, new demands from the customers, new technologies, new direction in terms of strategy, there need to be upskilling and proper onboarding of the staff to be able to fully support the business. So it's a balance depending on the situation of the organization. Thank you.
Nicely put there. Thank you for that. And I'm sure Ezekiel is insight on that. Right, Bhupesh has got his hand up. Bhupesh, come in again. Let's hear what you have to say. Then we'll hand it over to Elizabeth after you. So
wonderful. Thank you so much, James. And to begin with, a small glitch in our audio system for our live learners and listeners on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And apologies for that, but it's fine. It's working now. Going ahead, I was just smirking, feeling happy about how this, beautifully getting knitted together. We all talked about, Bernard talked about preparing for change, upskilling, reskilling. Nancy talked about investment in training, talked about lifelong learning. Fiona talked about, personal growth, development. Wanderer talked about, don't process people. I just love that. Don't process people, deal with them. Because it is by far, one of the most, I would say, important resource in the entire ecosystem of our business. And then as HR, fraternity, I think nobody better than us who would know that we don't not only have a financial contract with the employees, we also have a social contract, we have an emotional contract with them, and then as HR, really need to look forward to it. However, we kept talking about change, and change is a very long process, right? So it's not all about a skill set, it's not all about a tool set. It's more to do with the mindset also, right? And then especially when you talk about cross-skilling, when you talk about learning new skills, when you talk about technological advancements, and hence it requires a very long intervention, right? So whenever you're talking about mindset changes, it is a long intervention. It takes time to bring in such sort of changes. While HRs for decades have been advocating that, yes, that's how it needs to be done, and clearly investing in people, investing back in succession planning, etc., etc. It'll be great to know when each panelist speaks next, that has there been any change that they look in terms of the management, how management now looks at it in the last couple of years? Because if I really cite a couple of global reports like LinkedIn Learning Report, you clearly see that index moving in favor of HR, in favor of learning and development. A lot of buy-ins coming from the management in terms of HRs being given the authority and the place to invest time and efforts in such activities. So whenever panelists speak next, a small input on this would be really helpful. Thank you.
There we go, Elizabeth. There's your input over there. We are starting to come to the end of it, but the time has flown so quickly. We're really just getting into it and getting to the really exciting stuff. If you can address some of Bhupesh's stuff over there, but I know you've got other things on your heart that you want to share with us. So go ahead and we'll take it from there.
Actually, I'm overwhelmed by my colleague Wandera. As Bhupesh has said, she has put it exactly how it should be. And I hope everyone who is listening, they have heard it, and especially the HR practitioner, not looking at HR as just another thing behind the seat, behind the board meeting. You are not there. You are not in the strategic table. Thank you so much, Wandera. I really appreciate what you have said. And actually, that is most of what I wanted to say. As I started, I talked about emotional contract, and she has talked about it. HR should be so much careful to understand what kind of contract they have with their employees, not the contract as Bhupesh had put it financially, but emotional. To me, emotional contract matters a lot, because when the employees have emotional contract with the organization, they are also keen to understand the strategy of the organization, the future of the organization. Where is the organization heading to? What do they need to do to make themselves better, to align themselves with the organization strategy? But what I wanted to answer so much is about, I just want to align to improving our training in terms of technology. How are we doing it? This one-on-one with the technology, with especially COVID, it has taught us it is sometimes not possible to have the training in one-on-one, and especially in our busy schedules in HR, in hospitality, what can we do? So I just wanted to throw it out there to all HR. There are so many trainings that are happening internationally, and they are real time, because they show us what is happening on the ground, on the rooms, practically on what is happening. So such programs are very keen, and they are very keen in technology. I don't have to take people in class, but what we have done, you enroll people. There is a training called TIPSY. It is an international platform of training, which teaches all the trainings in hospitality for those people who are working and for those people who do not have time to take people in class. So in this program, you enroll all your students in all the employees, depending on the skills you need to equip them in. And actually, it is a very, very well-monitored training, because if you enter into the class, you have to do an exam. And you can't do an exam if you haven't listened to what you are supposed to run, and you haven't even gone through the practical. So you can't cheat in this exam. This gives the employees time, and especially as in the hospitality industry, we know there is a gap when the employees are free between the times. There is breaks. What can they do with those breaks? So most of them, instead of having those trainings in their free time, when they have those breaks, they go into a training room and they are able to, through their phones, be able to go through this program. They get certificates, and those certificates are international. So you are not only developing them for your own self, but you're also developing them for the world to be able to benefit from what they are running. So I think it is something that we need to look at in HR. It's a personalized training, and which you can be able to monitor from where you are as a HR. That is all what I wanted to say, and I really appreciate Wandera for the input that she has brought up very clearly on what we should look at in HR.
Well done, Wandera. Well done. Thank you, Elizabeth. And thank you for that helpful bit of advice over there. And I think that people will take that to heart and be able to use that. I think the internet has brought us all sorts of things. I facilitated a seminar in Nigeria a while ago. And at COVID, they actually identified a number of courses out available on the internet. And they said to the employees, while you're working from home or you can't work or do the things, go through these courses over there. And that was a much more unsophisticated version of what Elizabeth is talking about. So that's a very helpful comment over there, because it also, you can take the learning to where the person is rather than take the person to where the learning is. Now, unfortunately, our time is slowly coming to an end. We're not at an end yet, but we are coming to an end. And we've got many young people sitting out there, listening, looking at this, saying, this is all very interesting. Some of them might even be our students are looking at this, and they're considering a career in the hospitality industry, in the tourism industry, and they want to get some advice. And we've got experts in the room. We've got lots of experience out this. Let's go around the room, a rapid fire, quick things. What is your advice to a youngster who's considering a career in hospitality? What can you say to them that will help them on the way? Who do we have here?
Can I come in?
Of course you can. You are in. Go ahead.
Okay. I think you said something very important about the attitude, not the skills that they are bringing in. For us in hospitality industry is the service that you give, the attitude, the way you serve that service to the person. It is all seen in the attitude that you are giving. Whenever I talk to the student, especially in the student fair, I always tell them attitude is what will sustain you in hospitality industry. If you have the right attitude, you can do anything and you can go anywhere and you can be anyone. So the attitude is all what they require.
Nice one. Super. Good. That's a nice thing. Let's go on. Fiona, next. What was your advice? Your 5 seconds worth of advice to a youngster considering tourism as a career?
Number one is to have your own vision. When you go into any other organizations to be employed, please have your own vision. Have your own values that will guide you in your choices. Number 3 is to bet on you. Number 4 is mentorship. Mentorship will always help you go further than what you expect. Invest in yourself. That is big. Invest in yourself all the time. And lastly, just give your best. Everywhere you go, that is your last CV. Give your best wherever you are. Thank you.
Lovely advice, and very pertinent to the hospitality and tourism industry. Like that was right. Moving on, nice ones out there. Bernard, what would you say to young people considering a career?
Okay, James, so I think the first thing I'll say is mentorship is key. Number 2, every closed opportunity is a door for a new thing. So the normal or the traditional jobs in the tourism sector might be closing, but there are new opportunities opening up. So it's up to them to find out what are these new things in the tourism industry that they can be able to invest in and build capacity in. So I believe every closed opportunity opens a new door. So mentorship and look at those new things in the system that they can be able to invest in. Thank you.
Find your space in the thing over there that you want to go and exercise. Nicely put. Good. Nancy, your advice to someone considering a career in tourism?
Well, one is to stay updated with the industry trends, because some of those positions that you're having in this industry might be obsolete in a few years to come. So stay updated. Don't just be, even if you study for, say, for example, front office, don't just study for front office alone. Come start work and that's it. So you can stay updated with the industry trends. The other is develop digital literacy. Why am I saying this? It's because the way the world is going is we are all going digital. So majority of the things will be done digitally, and you need to be tech savvy to ensure that we are up to date within the industry, and then gain practical experience. When I know some, I'm not sure about Regenesis, but in, let's say, for example, Kenya, you usually have a semester or a holiday of 3 months before you go for your next semester. Why not, instead of staying home and doing nothing, get experience? If you get this experience, at the end of the day, you will have enough experience when you're getting into the industry. It will be easier for you. And then the other one is emphasis on data analytics. Why am I saying this? Is this industry in the future is going to be, or even starting from now, is even as HR, when you're doing our reports are data driven. And we need data analytics people, even, for example, in this industry. So embrace that, go to school, learn even online, like the way Elizabeth has said, look for data analytics courses, get to learn all that, and then it will be easier for you. And then develop strong communication skills. in this industry, it's about how you present yourself. You remember, you never get a second chance to show your first impression. So your first impression is how audible are you? Because audibility will then see you even move further, and even how good are you at your communication skills. Our second last one is cultivate a customer-centric mindset in terms of providing exceptional service. Fiona has said it. Ensure that when you're, and I think Elizabeth has said this too, ensure that when you're coming into this industry, you're giving exceptional services. Our mission at Weston Hotel is creating delightful experiences and finest memories for our guests. So it doesn't just come in, and that is what you strive to do each and every day. So are you creating that delightful experience for those guests when they come into the organization? Then the last one is build a professional network for your network. Why am I saying this? Is because in as much as we are in this industry, that network or your network is what is going to even move you forward in the industry. Then lastly, Aluo saying goes that chaka chaka. So chaka chaka is just start. So if you're in school and chaka chaka means just start. So if you're in school and you want to do anything, just start. If you want to get into this industry, just start. Go to school, study it, just start. And when you start things, just start to move at the end of the day. Thank you so much, James.
Lovely. There we go. Chaka chaka. I like that. That's a thing to take away with us. I think there's so many rich things over here. I wish I'd taken copious notes over here because there's so many sound bites that we can live with here. Wandera.
Yeah, I see the very esteemed panelists have given the people here really good advice. And I just want to talk to you, the individual. First things first is you have to love what you do. Everything that you start to do at some point is going to get boring. You have to love it so much that it can sustain you when that period of no excitement is happening. A very great author, Jim Collins, in his book Good to Great, said that you have to love what you do so that it can sustain you in those periods when there's no excitement happening, when it's just routine. So love what you do. Number two, in the tourism sector, you have to travel. So right now where you are, travel and explore the world as much as you can. You're going to meet quite a number of interesting experiences that you will get as a client that would help you very much if you go on the other side and you become an employee. It will help you to also understand your kind of resilience and your ability to connect with people, work with them, and how much tolerance you have for different individuals within the space. So travel, explore the world, know what it is about. The third thing is you have to study. Study, study, study. Understand what is being taught. Relate what is being taught to your passion so that you can be able to have an easier way to actually go into the workspace and give a meaningful contribution. Then you have to build your muscle of resilience. Resilience is very, very important for you to build. You're not going to leave work. Not every one of us is lucky enough to leave school and go straight into a job. You have to develop that resilience for job search. You have to develop the resilience with all the changes that are happening in the tourism sector. The resilience is a key attribute that you need to have. And lastly, learn about sustainability. In the tourism sector, you have to know about sustainability. Understand how the tourism sector is being responsible when it comes to education, to wildlife, to life underwater, life on earth. Learn these things, alternative fuel, get interested. That would be your actual age when you walk into the sector. And I'm really wishing all of you amazing success in this particular journey that you've taken. It's an interesting one.
Very powerful words there. And that gives a great platform for Bhupesh to say his final words over here.
Thank you so much, James. And, really don't have much after, whatever my fellow panelists have already brought to the table. But I really would like to thank every one of us for taking time out. And then, like you said, I had the opportunity to, write down some of the extreme beneficial things for myself. And I just can't thank enough to everyone from a perspective of a young student, who might be listening to all these veterans, and how much of knowledge and experience they would walk out of this 1.5 hours of webinar. So extremely thankful to all of you. Thank you so much for taking time out. We are locally present. We are practically neighbors to each other. So at some point in time, I'll be looking forward to connect in person and see if there are any areas that we can work together just like this. So great. Thank you so much. Over to you, James.
Good. Well, what can I say? It's been tour de force. You have given us your precious, precious time, because all of you are carrying big jobs. You've given us a huge amount of time. You've been unstinting. You've shared a really exciting stuff. I think people are walking away from this with a very good insight into what's required, and it's opened up their minds to things. So on behalf of the entire Regenesis organization, I want to thank you, each one of you, for what you've done, what you've contributed, and for just being so generous with your knowledge, your experience, your wisdom. It's been remarkable. And I do hope that our paths cross again, and it would be lovely to interface with you on more, but this is one of the better ones we've had. I've really enjoyed this. It's been very dense, and I mean that there's a lot of facts that just come one after another all the way through this. And for people who are listening in the audience, they've walked away with a remarkable sense. So each one of you, thank you. Have a lovely day for what's left of it. It's going to be a long day still, as your days are long. But thank you for being part of the Regenesis family, and we look forward to being with you again. To our audience out there, thank you for being with us. We haven't been able to respond to all your questions, but we certainly put a lot of very, very fascinating, up-to-the-minute content on the table. And watch the space, because there will be other webinars with other magnificent people sharing their views on business, on industry, on technology. So to all of you, look after yourselves, be safe, and may our paths cross soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye. 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 Bye.